A car drives along a road in the British countryside. In the backseat, an American woman, Greta Evans, is sleeping. She is woken by the driver as they arrive at the house where she'll be working. The driver explains that the owners have stepped out for a moment and instructs her to wait for them in the parlor. Greta enters the house, removes her shoes, and places them beside her belongings near the entrance. Hearing a noise upstairs, she decides to investigate. On the way, she notices a painting of a couple with their son, presumably the family she'll be working for. She continues deeper into the house and enters a child's room, where she picks up a toy to examine. Startled by a sudden greeting from behind, she drops it. A man named Malcolm introduces himself as the grocery boy. After a brief chat, he invites her to join him in the kitchen while he puts away supplies. As they unpack groceries, Malcolm guesses she's American and suggests she might be running away from something. Greta changes the subject by asking about the family. Malcolm describes them as kind and generous, but hesitates when she asks about the son, saying only that it's hard to explain. Their conversation is cut short when Mrs. Hilscher arrives and scolds Greta for being barefoot. They return to the entrance to fetch her shoes, but they're missing. Mrs. Hilscher assures her that they'll turn up, probably taken by her son as a prank. Greta puts on another pair of shoes, and soon after, Mr. Hilscher is seen speaking to his son, Brahms, whose face is obscured by a chair. When Greta and Mrs. Hilscher join them, Greta is introduced to the family. To her surprise, the son sitting in the chair is actually a life-size porcelain doll. Thinking it's a joke, Greta laughs, but the serious expressions on the Hilschers' faces tell her otherwise. Malcolm arrives and interacts with the doll as if it were alive. Following his lead, Greta cautiously greets Brahms, shakes his hand, and says she hopes they can be friends. Mrs. Hilscher begins showing Greta her duties as nanny. Brahms must be woken every morning at 7 a.m., dressed, and guided through lessons in poetry and music. She emphasizes that the music should be played loudly, as it is very important to Brahms. Later, during dinner with the Hilschers and the doll, Mrs. Hilscher explains that food is never wasted in the countryside. Leftovers must always be frozen for emergencies. That evening, Mr. Hilscher shows Greta the traps in the garden, explaining that all windows in the house have been permanently sealed. He admits he doesn't know how things came to this point, but insists that, despite appearances, their son is still with them. That night, the Hilschers pray with Brahms before bed, even including Greta in their prayer. Moments later, they tell her that Brahms wants her to be his nanny, if she accepts. Greta agrees. Later, Greta calls her sister, Sandy, from the landline. She describes the strange household, noting the absence of Wi-Fi and cell service. Sandy admits Greta's abusive ex, Cole, has been harassing her, but promises she hasn't revealed Greta's location. The next morning, Mr. Hilscher startles Greta as he prepares for a long-awaited holiday with his wife. Before leaving, he hands Greta a strict list of rules for caring for Brahms. As they say goodbye, Mrs. Hilscher whispers an emotional apology into Greta's ear. Once alone with the doll, Greta dismisses the rules, covers Brahms with a blanket, and goes to make herself a sandwich and some wine. Later, she wakes from a nap to find the doll uncovered and sitting in a different place, unsettling her. From here, Greta begins experiencing increasingly disturbing events, noises in the walls, missing belongings that reappear, strange phone calls with only static or a child's voice, and Brahms seemingly moving when unobserved. Malcolm eventually reveals that the real Brahms died in a fire on his 8th birthday, and the doll appeared shortly after. The Hilschers, he explains, have lived this way for 20 years. Greta tries to dismiss it, but when Brahms begins moving before her eyes, she realizes the doll demands she follow the rules. Meanwhile, the Hilschers, unable to cope any longer, walk into the ocean with stones in their pockets, leaving Brahms and Greta to their fate. Days later, Greta learns that Brahms is more than a doll. When her ex, Cole, shows up and violently smashes the doll, the truth is revealed. The real Brahms, now an adult, has been living inside the walls of the house, wearing a porcelain mask. He kills Cole. He then grabs Greta next, but Malcolm appears from behind and hits him before taking Greta away. Brahms starts chasing them through the house. Greta and Malcolm try to lock themselves in her room, but Brahms knows all the secret passages in the walls, so he has no trouble reaching them anywhere. After running around for a while, they finally get a chance to escape when they find the door to one of Brahms' wall passages, which they enter. Greta and Malcolm find a hidden room, the place where Brahms has been living all this time. He has everything he needs and more. Greta finds her dress and hair on a doll Brahms made to be intimate with her. She also finds a letter from his parents saying they aren't returning, and he could have the girl. They go back to the hidden passages and Brahms finally catches up with them. After some more chasing, he jumps on Malcolm and knocks him out. Greta finds an exit and runs away from the house. She makes it to the gates and stops, realizing she can't leave yet. She must go back for Malcolm. Back in the house, she grabs a screwdriver that she hides in her pocket before meeting with Brahms. She tells him she's come back for him, then uses her authoritative nanny voice to order him to go back to bed. After some hesitation, he obeys. Greta takes him to his room and puts him to bed, and when she tries to leave, Brahms asks for the goodnight kiss. She refuses, saying it's his punishment for misbehaving, but Brahms grabs her arm and insists, so Greta has no other choice but to lean in for a kiss. When Brahms puts his porcelain mouth against her real lips, she takes the chance to retrieve the screwdriver and use it on him. Brahms pushes her away, and after getting off the bed, he grabs her by the neck and pushes her against the wall, intending to suffocate her. Greta seems to be out of it, but at the last second she snaps and pushes the screwdriver deeper until he collapses. A piece of the mask breaks and we see Brahms' face. Greta hurries out of the room to find Malcolm and gets him in the car so they can escape the house. She smiles when she realizes they're finally free. Meanwhile, a pair of hands, eerily similar to Brahms's, carefully gluing the broken doll back together.